Welcome to the Conservative Coalition's first episode. I hope that you'll enjoy this. We have a great team here, and we want to deliver the best content to you possible. We're going to have a link to a Patreon account below in the description on YouTube. So please support us, and I hope you enjoy what we have to say. I'm here with Cody, our co-host and co-founder. Cody, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Nice to meet you all. I'm Cody. I'm a retired United States Marine Corps veteran, 25 years young, getting a little chubby around the edges, getting nice and relaxed. I am a Republican. However, I lean more towards the economic side of conservatism. I use statistical information, facts, and data gathering to decide what side I should lean to. So when it comes to issues of morals, that's a non-issue for me. So I'm a pro-Second Amendment activist, carry everywhere I go, and just chilling here in the great state of Nevada, having a good time with my co-host Philip here. So I hope you guys enjoy the show.
So Cody, as we talked before, you said you're a Republican-leaning economist. What exactly is that? Because I never heard of it before.
So an economist, just generally speaking, is someone who looks at how profitable our country is and how profitable it could be, focusing on laws and regulations that actually advance that agenda. So, for example, whether or not morally you're for or against same-sex marriage is profitable. It is good for the country, it's good for the profit margin of the country, and therefore it's something that should be legalized. Same thing when people look at something like marijuana. A lot of people used to say, I would never smoke it, but let's legalize it and tax the hell out of it. Exact same principle.
Okay, so about that, to go a little bit further in depth, Trump recently said that he might be starting a trade war and we're being treated unfairly overseas. But we know that tariffs are never good. They're just a tax on the people, us, the taxpayer. So do you think we're really being treated unfairly? And is Trump doing the right thing? And is that really a free market approach that Trump's trying to take?
Unfortunately, the tariffs are kind of a bad idea, but I can see why he's doing them as well. Right now, we're letting too much in and not enough out of the country. And part of that is because of the trade deals our previous presidents have negotiated have just fallen apart. So starting this is a way to get us back into the position of making money so that we have negotiating power with those countries. Like recently he started talking to Canada about these issues. Same thing with China and Japan and several of our major trade powers. Instituting tariffs now may suck, but it's the only way we're going to get started to the point where we can take away those tariffs, we can actually reduce the taxes on things that are imported and exported from our country, and start making the actual act of importing and exporting profitable for this country again.
So by Donald Trump actually standing up to the globalists and threatening these actions with tariffs, he's actually could open up the market to be more free and fair.
Yes, in the sense that instead of the few things we produce going overseas and then coming back more expensive, he's making it more profitable for people to keep it in-house, keep it here in the United States, continental island and Alaska, so that we can start profiting from our own work and our own labor again. Once that happens, we'll be back on standing on our own 2 feet. Like, I can't put words in his mouth. I'm obviously not President Trump, but I'm pretty sure that's the premise behind this, is that, cool, you guys want to ship everything out? Well, it's going to be taxed to hell. So now you get to keep it here. If it stays here, all of our other trade partners can't say that we're reliant on them to keep our country alive.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they have no more legs to stand on.
Yeah. I just hope it works out okay, because we've seen in the past that tariffs don't work. They tried this a long time ago with the steel and aluminum, and then all the industries that rely on steel and aluminum, which is pretty much everything, the goods and services went up. People were laid off. They weren't working. More unemployment. So I just hope that this will be a good move for the American worker and be a positive influence for us.
And I hope so as well. And like I said, unfortunately, it's going to cause some short-term issues.
Yeah.
But again, that's one of the things we see repetitively, differences between our democratically elected presidents and our Republican electives is that Democrats think short-term, Republicans think long-term. It may hurt us a little now, but hopefully it'll benefit us a whole lot in the long run. Just like working at McDonald's for minimum wage, just to become a manager, using that manager experience to go get work at a firm making triple the amount of money.
Yeah. Interesting. You brought that up. What's your opinion on minimum wage? Should we have one? Should it not go up?
I don't think we need one. I think the one we have in place is fine. A lot of people will look at it and say that our minimum wage hasn't been updated since it was literally created during our Great Depression. That being said, forcing a minimum wage increase that does not equate to the amount of percentile that the inflation has risen over those 80 years is not going to be good for our economy. It's not going to fix our job issues. As a matter of fact, a lot of people at McDonald's that were striking about this, I think last year, McDonald's said, okay, you know what? I can't afford to pay you all $15 an hour, but if you're going to strike and you're going to close down my business and cost me, hundreds of $1,000s of profit a day, I'm going to fire you all and place you with machines. And that's literally what happened. Like they have automatic servers now in several McDonald's. I don't see how that helped anybody.
Yeah.
Like the bottom line is the bottom line. Unfortunately, that's just a hard truth that people need to learn how to accept a little bit more. So.
Yeah, and it's something the free market can fix also, because if nobody's willing to work for, say, $1 an hour, businesses are going to have to compete and actually raise prices to be attractive to employees. So, I mean, it's another example of the free market and how it can fix horrible situations.
Yeah, and you see this in a lot of markets throughout the United States where you have to be competitive in order to stay in business. You charge $2 more than the guy next door to you. Hell, you charge $2 more than the guy that's across town from you. People will make that drive across town to save that $2. You will go out of business. Okay. And it's the same thing with wages. If I'm going to pay Joe Schmo $10 an hour, but somebody else is going to pay him $20, he's going to go work for that other guy, and I'm not going to have anybody working for me. Can't run a business without employees.
Exactly. And in California alone, we've seen the reports this year that we're going to lose like 500,000 jobs just because of the minimum wage increase. And people are already leaving this state in large numbers, and it's terrible. Who are we going to have to make our food and do public services? We can't just have rich tech people here. So we need people to do the actual work out there.
But the government will take care of us all. They'll give us all the food we need, and they'll build us houses, and it'll be great. No, California, and I hate to say it because I know you live there, Philip, but it's the poster child for today's Democrats. It literally is. It's kind of like what was the city? Denver, I think, where. It used to be the automotive hot center for making and distributing cars and major manufacturing businesses. And because of the increase in rates for corporate taxes, the increase in revenue taxes and overhead expenses due to public regulation, they all left. And now 3/4 of the city is deserted. And cops won't even go to help you if you call them and say you've been shot, because there just aren't enough of them left. Wow. So. But that's the way California is going, and thankfully, I think I see Californians waking up a whole lot sooner than, like I said, I can't remember if it's Denver or Chicago, but they seem to be waking up, and they're actually moving to Texas, which is the furthest place that you can get from California in the sense of legislature. Texas, no state taxes, very, very low income taxes. Business gets cut on their taxes. They get extra state help with their funding, and it's all in-house. Mm-hmm. So they're going from the exact opposite of that in California, and they're running to Texas because it's the only way they think they can survive at this point. they're just so tired of seeing all the negativity that being in California brings them.
But the problem, though, they're bringing their California politics with them to Texas, and Texas could be a blue state one day.
Not a chance in hell. I grew up in small town Texas, and a lot of people underestimate how stubborn we can be, and we're known for being stubborn. That being said, it will bring a very interesting debate to the platform in Texas we haven't seen in a very long time. So hopefully that'll be a positive thing, but I highly doubt that Texas is going to go, yeah, here, go ahead, take my guns. Oh yeah, go ahead, raise my taxes. Oh yeah, go ahead and tax businesses extra money, because Texas is one of the best off states in the country. When I lived in Hawaii, gas got up to almost $9 a gallon when Obama was in office, and in Texas it was still $1.25. It was literally, I think, the second cheapest in the state. That's because that while Texas does drill its own oil, it also doesn't tax you for drilling that oil or buying that oil or making it into gasoline or using it in your car. So the cost of doing business makes it cheaper on the end of the consumer, which is why Texas does so well.
Yeah. Great. I wish I could live in Texas. I'm trying.
That's the dream, right? That's the dream.
Yes.
It used to be the dream to live in the Californias, right along the beach line, oceanfront property. Now it's, yeah, just put me out in the sticks somewhere where I won't be bothered by these crazy people.
Exactly. I mean, when I moved to California, I couldn't wait to get here, because when you see it in movies and TVs and how people talk about it, it's like, I can't, this is the best place in the country, maybe the world. And, as I grew up here a little bit more, I completely changed my perspective on it. I can't wait to get out. The politics here are killing me, and taxes too. I mean, my mortgage just went up $200. Thank you, progressive taxes. So we should dive into our first story. It's a technical piece, but I'm going to explain it in a non-technical way, because I know most of our audience is not going to be technical people. But it's the fundamental principles of this that should make everybody be worried of how the left is controlling great things. So the article is Kubernetes Falls to Far Left Politics. This is actually the first political piece that I wrote. I was on Twitter one day, and I seen someone post about Kubernetes, which is an open source project. What is an open source project? It's people volunteer their time, and they contribute code to make new features, make whatever software it is great again. And so a lot of companies will invest resources into it and maintain it even. And it's a great way to send money to a project by hiring developers. So people are coding for free for the greater good. That's basically what open source is. So I was on Twitter one day, and I seen this weird tweet from the Kubernetes project, and it said, so #diversity is now a Slack channel in Kubernetes Slack. Retweets appreciated. Note to white dudes, please join. We need to talk to you more than anyone. So Slack is just free software that allows people to collaborate. Businesses use it all the time for interofficial chat.
Right.
So, note to white dudes, please join. We need to talk to you more than anyone. And this just got me thinking, who's we? Why are white people being labeled the victim or the oppressor here? What did white people do to even make this channel created? I find it very appalling here.
Well, didn't you know that the devil is white?
Why not?
I mean, that's about the closest equation you can get, because everything is the fault of white people. Yeah. And well, some of that may have been true in the past. I'm not going to lie. I know that there's a lot of history involving white people in general that's pretty bad. But as an Irish immigrant, I know what these people are talking about. And I don't go around saying, oh, well, it's the white man's fault because, and even the people who oppressed me, my history, my ancestors, my ex-wife was one of them.
Yeah.
Never blamed her for a second. Never accused her of being racist towards me. Never accused her of being part of the problem. But that's part of today's identity politics, and unfortunately, it's what's motivating more and more people to believe in this kind of nonsense because it's self-promulgating. The more people you get to stand up and say racism or sexism or bigotry, the more people go, well, if they're saying it, there must be some truth to it.
Yeah.
So without understanding what they're saying, they get up and they also go racism, sexism, bigotry.
Yeah. A little while ago, Apple hired a black female to be the Apple's diversity chief, and that name, the title, just makes me want to vomit in my mouth. But
yeah, a little bit.
there's a nice twist to the story. She said something that made so much sense. The quote is, there can be 12 white, blue-eyed, blonde men in a room, and they're going to be diverse too because they're going to bring a different life experience and life perspective to the conversation. Her name is Denise Young Smith. I completely agree with her. Too bad she's had to step down shortly after making that statement.
I was about to say, didn't you get fired?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Diversity and tolerance until you disagree with me.
Yeah. I mean, I lived all over the country, small towns, large towns, and some of the areas were mostly white, but nobody was the same. Everybody has different religious backgrounds, values, beliefs, and they can all contribute something. And I don't know if you heard, but Google is famous for blacklisting conservatives.
Yeah.
Twitter has shadow bans. YouTube, so much going on with YouTube. They're just censoring them like crazy. All the conservative YouTubers are reporting this. First, I was like, maybe you guys aren't just doing something right. I know you're not the most technical people because you're YouTube stars. But after more of the evidence came out and people saying the exact same thing, even in the audience verifying it, I started to believe in the conspiracy.
Yeah, actually, I saw this recently. Two of my friends just got out of Facebook jail, not like 3 days ago, for a barely political meme. I mean, some of the stuff I've said already just during this recording, this show, is already way past what they said. And I actually got a call from my friend Benjamin Knight. He's a fellow Marine of mine who retired last year. He called me and he was like, what the hell is going on? Because I just got banned permanently from Facebook. Like, he had to make a new Facebook account. Wow. His last post that Facebook said was ban-worthy was, watch out, bro, they're going to get you. Because one of his friends had posted a Republican meme on his Facebook page. And apparently that comment in itself was enough to get, like, permanently banned. He'd already been warned like 3 times for saying stuff that was against their clause.
Yeah.
And then he just got outright banned. Like, tell me that is not biased.
Mm-hmm. Biased.
When a left-wing comedian can hold Trump's head on a plate, and it goes over Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and it's paraded as courageous. But then if I got up and said, I believe in lowering taxes and equality to try, not equality to have, I'll get banned.
Yeah. But this is the problem the free market can fix. Someone's going to make a new platform, then Facebook's going to be crying. So back to this on Google being famous for blacklisting conservatives. According to Business Insider, there's lawsuits filed saying employees at Google who express conservative viewpoints in politically charged debates may find themselves blacklisted by managers at the company, an explosive new lawsuit alleges. And by blacklisted, that means their names may appear on actual lists, the suit says. Google's employees who identify as conservatives say that they have complained to HR and senior management about the list. Google even spent $265 million on diversity and it did nothing. according to Paul Boyes of the Daily Wire, love you Daily Wire, it turns out that Google's culture of mass virtue signaling and diversity campaigns has done absolutely nothing to curb its hiring discrepancies, even after spending a whopping $265 million. So the question that I have is diversity a real problem in the tech community, or is it made up of one because some people hate seeing many people of the same race and gender?
I think it is a problem in the tech community. I think it's a problem currently in a lot of our communities, but not for the reason that a lot of people might be thinking right now. I think it's a problem that we think that not having enough diversity is a problem.
Yeah.
I think that looking at your workplace and going, there's not enough black people, or there's not enough Asian people, or women, or short Filipino gay men that love basketball is a problem. Well, no, you thinking that is a problem.
Yeah.
Because merit is more important than your race, your sex, your gender, whatever else you think may be a factor. Religion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. You're there to do a job, not give a speech about something. You're there to create a product.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
It's diverse. So, say you hire more people of a certain race. Is that going to solve your problems? And what problems need to be solved?
I mean, we've already seen it in colleges. We have college funds for women. We have college funds for minority. We have college funds for immigrants. They are not doing a service to the community. There are a lot of individuals who are using those scholarships to get into college where people of the same race, the same gender, the same backgrounds are getting denied with much better scores because they have to meet their diversity quota. It's bad for business, it's bad for our economy, and frankly, it's bad for moral views.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to be thinking that way. You may think that it's anti-racist to go, we need X amount of black people working here, X amount of women working here, so on and so forth. But that is the racist view.
Yeah.
That you think that is what should control your workplace.
Yeah. On the libertarian side, I'm a conservative libertarian if nobody watched the promo. But on the libertarian side, I think that affirmative action is terrible, and the best people in college, or best people applying for the college, should be able to go to that college. But on the conservative side, you're going to see a lot of smart people coming from other countries here, and they're going to be taking up slots of our citizens. So I would like to get rid of affirmative action and just have the best of the best, but keep it nationally.
So should we get rid of all affirmative action? And does that include the 2B program where we take the best and the brightest for other countries and we give them a scholarship here to learn and be educated?
I mean, it should be very limited at most, I think. Yeah, we should welcome other people from other countries, but we need to take care of our citizens first. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having people from other countries come here to go to school. It's a place of learning, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get here legally.
That's a debate for another show.
Yeah, we could go all day about how all of these issues mix into each other, and just like people might say Hawaii is a cultural melting pot. All of these issues, it's an issue melting pot. They're all connected to one another, and you can't solve one without having to solve all the others nearly simultaneously, or else it all just falls apart again.
Exactly. All right, Cody, take the wheel.
Speaking of take the wheel, there's a lot of Democrats today who are trying to take the wheel on the gun control issue and the gun debate itself. We've both talked about our views a little bit in our promo videos. However, today's anti-gun lobbyists who are saying ban all the assault weapons, who are saying ban all guns, and then turning around and saying that we're not trying to take your guns away. What do you think about what they're doing, and what do you think that they should be doing instead?
There's some honest people saying that, hey, we're not going to take your guns away. We just want more gun control. But then you have the people that they support the people like the Parkland kids who are saying, no, I want a ban on all weapons. I'm going to take them away from you. And that's terrible. It's a violation of our rights. What I want to see done is armed security at schools. I want to see entry control points. I want to see metal detectors and a few guards outside too, because let's face it, if everybody's coming in through an entrance or two, they're sitting ducks too.
Yeah. So on the topic of security in schools with the metal detectors and everything, do you think we should be arming teachers, and why? Why not?
Not by force. We can volunteer to do it, but definitely not force them. I believe in the non-aggression principle as much as possible. But if they want to do it, that's great. No one's the casualties will be severely limited if we have armed teachers. They can stop it much faster and save more lives. So
Kind of like how private citizens do, right?
yeah. So interesting about this, my daughter's school, someone on Snapchat said that they're gonna shoot up the school. He had a list of 30 people, I believe, and they were gonna do it in the Las Vegas school, which was last week. And luckily, someone reported the kid, I think, and he got arrested for terrorist charges. And I said to the school on Facebook, because they let us know what happened and that the kid was arrested. So I said, what are you going to do to be proactive and not let this happen again? The fact that they had to wait till someone was caught is reactive. It's too late at that point. You may not have the right intel that you need to prevent a future mass shooting. There was no reply. I had suggestions, like I said earlier, entry control points, metal detectors, armed guards. No reply. And nobody else liked that post or comment that and that made me even more curious. What is going on?
Was there any media attention to it at all? I mean, because we didn't hear until after the Orlando shooting that this kid was posting stuff like that on social media, and that police had been called to go to his house multiple times. So was there any news coverage at all, locally or nationally?
Locally for sure. Nationally, I have no idea.
Wow, because I haven't seen anything on it. So wow, and that's right next door to me. Like, all right, okay. So going back to security and measurements we can do to improve our school safety, um, a lot of people argue that if we're getting to the point where we think we need metal detectors in schools, that we need armed security because students are a danger to other students. Do you think there's an underlying cause to that, and do you think guns have anything to do with it?
No, we need metal detectors. We need to protect our students, and it's a the cause is people go crazy and they want to shoot up schools. It's fine.
But a lot of people are using that argument for the basis of a gun ban. That when our children are getting to the point of violence, that they can get access to a firearm and go to school and kill their fellow students. That instead of just upping the security, we should ban the guns because that's why they're violent. Um, do you have any idea what they're talking about, or an alternate viewpoint?
People are going to get guns or do the damage because there's evil in this world. They're going to find a way to do harm. So taking away legal gun owners' guns is not a good idea. However, in the case at my daughter's school, it was his parents' firearms, and they seized them all. And that's probably a good decision too. The kids should not have access to the firearms at all. They weren't obeying the law here. You have in California, at least. I don't know about the rest of the country, but ammo has to be separated from the gun, stored in a different location. You have to have a locking mechanism on the gun. So my only complaint is if someone breaks in, you're going to have to run around the house assembling your weapon and getting it ready to shoot the shooter.
Yeah, I've heard they're actually offering classes on that now. How to quickly and officially go to 4 different locations with gun pieces and ammunition, assemble it, and I'm not even kidding about this. They're actually offering to teach people this because it is that bad in California and some other places right now. But interesting enough, kind of on the same subject, a lot of the same platformers who are saying that because our children are so dangerous, we need to save them by banning all the guns everywhere. They're also saying that people who own firearms are responsible for killing children, and then somehow they manage to segue this into if you own a gun, you're a baby killer. But then they're also for abortion as well. They're very against the idea of legalizing it. They want abortions to be available for everybody and stay paid. Um, what do you think the connection is there? Because I don't see one.
Far left hypocrisy. That's logically false and invalid. To even consider that responsible gun owners are doing all these crimes. Criminals, bad people get weapons. They're going to do what they want to do. You can't stop them until it's too late. And abortion, guns, responsible ownership protects lives. Abortion takes lives away. So there is no middle ground. It's hypocrisy 101, and the far left is baiting people. A life is a life, and a life should be protected until that life does harm to others and tries to break in your house. And hopefully, if you can assemble your firearm within 20 minutes to get the ammo, that life will be no more.
So one of the biggest arguments that they use for abortion specifically is that you have rape victims and you have medical procedures to save the mother, and you have what are called unwanted pregnancies, where you didn't intend to get pregnant, but because you're poor and unable to support a home, you should get abortions. That being said, I know the statistics on it. It's 1% or less than 1% of all abortions are actually rape cases, and less than 2% are for medical causes. But do you think that should still play a role in how we regulate and allow or disallow abortion in the U.S.?
As far as I'm concerned, abortion should only be allowed if the mother's life is at risk or the baby dies. There's options that you can do and visit crisis pregnancy centers or churches and see your options for adoption or getting the help that you need. But definitely, you don't want to be a murderer, do you?
I mean, that's a scientific debate right there. That's when is a baby instead of a fetus? Which, I mean, that's all speculatory. I don't even have an answer for that one. So that being said, that in the same context, a lot of these pro-abortion protesters are going around saying that if you are against abortion, if you are against the women's right to choose, then you are sexist and against women's rights, that you're against equality, that you think as a man you have more to say over a woman's body than she does. Is there any leg to stand on for that argument?
They do have choices, and murder doesn't have to be the choices. There's contraception, there's adoption. There's no reason that they don't have choices, and everybody would promote those choices. But why does murder have to be one of those choices? So,
And do you think a man has the right to stand up and say whether or not, regardless of his stance, anything on the topic of abortion?
so
I know that one's going to throw you for a loop a little bit. It's one of those where no matter what you say, the answer is kind of wrong. It's also kind of right. But I'm just looking for your opinion on this.
Okay. So, as a single parent, I do have something to say about this. A woman goes through all the effort of having a baby. A baby needs both parents to be in their lives, to be raised properly and prosper. But men will be financially responsible and morally responsible for that child if it's born. And the woman should also value the man's input. And maybe, I don't even know if we need to go legally, but should a man be responsible for a child that he didn't want? What do you think?
Personally, in my opinion, I think it should be a case by case basis. Unfortunately, a few times it is, contrary to popular belief, women are actually given the benefit of the doubt in the court system. If a woman says, "I want to keep my child," it doesn't matter if she's drug addled or incapable of taking care of the child. Even if the father is like a well-respected member of the community and has a great job and is a great parent, mom still gets the kid. And it's an unfortunate truth, and I can kind of see why the court leans that way. At the same time, though, I've seen in more than one occasions, and actually my own life is a perfect example of this, where my mom left when I was a little kid, and she just straight up did not want to be a mom. If my dad had left, he would have had to pay child support until I was 18 or older.
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't want to, she just got to leave. And you also see that exact same situation pop up over the US, where one parent says, "I don't want you in my life, but I want my kid." And then that other parent has to pay it if that other parent is a man. But very rarely do I hear about stories where a woman leaves her child or abandons her child and still has to pay child support, still has to upkeep for that child's well-being. So much for equality, right?
Yeah. Men should definitely be able to opt out, because sometimes a woman will get pregnant on purpose and lie to the man, and then his life is ruined because of that. That's not fair at all.
Yeah, I would like to believe that that's a rare example,
Mm-hmm.
but and I'm sure you face this too, and I'm sure there are many other veterans that can, and active duty, who can attest to this. I actually had a woman that I was with, we call them tag chasers, who she pretended to be a part of my life and wanted to be with me, and then tried to poke holes in a few condoms so that she could get pregnant. And the result being that we'd have to get married because I was in the military.
Yeah.
She would be taken care of financially. And if we divorced, she gets half my paycheck. Doesn't matter that, in essence, she forced me to have a child with her. It still ends up being I foot the bill.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
terrible. What's half of nothing?
What's that?
What's half of nothing?
What's half of nothing?
Military doesn't get paid too well, especially when you're starting out and you're a young man making those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was making like less than $500 a paycheck, like, and that was not during the 3 months that a particular president in our recent past closed down the government and caused me to not get paid for those 3 months. Wow. So, yeah, that was an interesting experience in itself. Go get your new uniforms. With what money?
With your good looks.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, should I go work at McDonald's and then come back and work 16-hour days so that I can pay for my uniforms? Like, I knew a few Marines who actually did that, by the way. They got part-time jobs during that 3 months because they had bills to pay. Yeah. The guy who was in charge of their rent did not care. But in any case, so yeah, and like I said, this all kind of segues between abortion and the right to choose and a man's stance on it, and how we kind of view that in the legal system when it comes to the welfare of a child, especially like a newborn, when the parents split up. But it all comes back to the idea that anything that you say as a man makes you sexist, and anything that you say as a man regarding women makes you not think women are equal, because women don't have the same rights as men. Again, it's very hard to follow some of this logic sometimes, but this is what gets shouted from the rooftops in places like California.
Yeah.
So,
what rights do women or men have that women do not?
The draft. That's about it. We've got the draft.
That's kind of sexist.
Yeah, you know what? Interesting little tidbit for you. Back before women had the right to vote, there was a small petition signed to try to get women the right to vote. And during that time, the draft was still active, and it was very much used because we were going through two different wars almost simultaneously. So we were running out of troops. The government came back and said, okay, men get the right to vote because they have to sign for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the right to vote, you have to sign for the draft. And a disproportionately larger number of women actually came back and said, never mind, we don't want to vote because we don't want to sign for the draft. We do not want to be in the military. We don't want to be shipped overseas in the jungle, in the desert, in the swamps to go shoot at people who would love nothing better than to kill us.
Yeah.
And it actually got passed still, but because of that uprise of please don't make us sign the draft, the men in the legislature said, okay, we're going to make a special exception. Women, you get the right to vote, but not the draft. So that is the only time I have seen men use their power in a way that benefits one sex or the other. And it was for women, not for men.
Well, we got to change this. Let's contact our local congressman.
Oh, I would be more than happy to sign that petition. I know several female Marines that are and female soldiers. My mom was in the Army during Desert Shield. She is, and I hope you're watching this, Mom, but you are one of the most kick-ass women I've ever met. I don't think they have a problem being in the military. Do I think they should be grunts out in the sticks and out in the desert? No. That's just danger waiting to happen on both sides of the field. But there are so many things that we can benefit from having women in the draft. Why not make it a reality?
And I'm pretty sure that women are doing great as grunts in the armed forces. I never heard anything negative about it.
They're little bubble burst here, a little pin in the balloon. But there was a experiment done in the Marine Corps, I think about 3 years ago, where a select group of female Marines who had actually gone through basic training, got their job titles already, their MOS, volunteered to go back through boot camp and then through combat training and then through grunt school, which is SOI East. And it's an extra 6 weeks on top of the 4 months we already spent training. And out of those female Marines, less than, I think, 5% actually passed, and a lot of that was kind of subject to controversy. So, hate to say it, but we did try to see what would happen if we trained women to be 0311s, if we trained them to be grunts, just people with rifles who go and shoot people and drag their buddies back across the field. It did not work. They were not able to upkeep to those standards, unfortunately. There was one lady, and she's a terrifying human being. I've met her in person, but she is also awesome. She is a previous bodybuilder, and she passed with flying colors.
Yeah.
And then she came, and think like Helga. Like, this lady she could lift a log over her shoulder and run across a football field with it. Like, just no issue. Even she came back and said, we shouldn't even be doing this. It's not right. So.
But if you don't, the patriarchy wins. So, tough it up. We gotta.
I mean, and like I said, women have a lot of great things to offer that men cannot offer.
Yeah.
We tend to be bigger, we tend to be more brutish, and we tend to be better at violence. Women can do a lot of things that do not involve those three things.
Yeah.
So, like being moms, for example.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
If you could, I would be a little bit worried.
You do my gender?
Damn you, patriarchy! It's okay. My brother was quoted saying that he identifies as a Cool Ranch Dorito, and we've run with that ever since.
Good flavor, good flavor.
Oh yeah, not as good as Nacho though, which he says is racist of me. So, but can you think of any instances in our community, in America as a whole, where there is not an equality between the sexes? Because I mean, you hear a lot of stuff about wage gaps. You hear a lot of stuff about their positions, the political fields. There's not as many women in politics. You end up with the argument that, well, there's also not as many women as poker, and that's because they're better truth tellers than they are liars. And but there always seems to be it's not that they're suited to a different field, it's just that the men are stopping them. Is there any validity to that? Like, what do you think about that?
Until there's evidence saying that that's true, then I'm going to ignore it. I want to see the evidence. Simple. I don't want to live in a conspiracy world. I want to live in a factual world. Show me what's out there. Change my mind.
I always love watching those, by the way.
Yeah.
Change My Mind episodes are fantastic.
We
Steven Crowder, Steven Crowder, if you ever watch this, you are an inspiration, sir. I love your Change My Mind videos. I'm too poor to afford anything except for a few fancy glass ones for like $3 at Walmart. Thank you all very much for being here today and a part of our brand new conservative movement called the Conservative Coalition. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. And stay safe, stay American. Hoorah.
And I also like to thank you all for coming in. We need your help. We need your support. We want to do a lot more content like this. And hopefully next week we'll have people involved from our community and get them on here and voice their opinion. We were talking to someone great about the abortion debate, and she was supposed to be on today, but we had scheduling issues. But hopefully next week. We want to have a diverse set of people call in, give us help, or we're going to give them help back. It doesn't even matter. We just want to talk, and we'll see you very soon.